Now, recently, President Trump has been all sorts of giddy on the news that Foxconn will be opening up a new manufacturing plant in Wisconsin. Oh, look, jobs. It's going to be great for jobs. It's going to be great for Wisconsin and the taxpayers. Okay, well, look, jobs, great. I like jobs, but I'm going to look into the details. And of course, the details, as I'm going to show you, actually are not great when it comes to what they have to give up to, or what they are planning on giving up in order to get this Foxconn company built and to bring those jobs in. Now, according to the International Business Times, another great piece by Sirota, Republican Governor Scott Walker is proposing to give the company a $3 billion taxpayer subsidy for building the plant. Now, look, that's not unheard of. I mean, Walmart does this all the time. They go in, they get a local town to go and give a giant tax break and some subsidies, and they build a Walmart there. And eventually, when that subsidy or tax break runs out, they leave. And then they destroy the town in the process. Now, but again, this is different because it's not just a tax break. It is an actual subsidy. They're giving Foxconn $3 billion to go and build in Wisconsin. So there goes taxpayer money into subsidizing a non-American company, right? A Chinese company that is famously known for its very, very poor working conditions and actually poor environmental record. Now, working conditions, I don't know if you guys remember the stories about the suicide nets being installed outside of Foxconn company windows. I'm just saying, if you have to install suicide nets, there seems to be a problem with your working conditions. But as far as the environmental stuff, well, Foxconn is also known for poisoning Chinese rivers. Wonderful. Now, which makes the fact that the Walker administration also slipped language into a bill that would exempt the company from state environmental laws that much more disastrous. Let me explain. Or let's let David Sirota explain. Under those laws, companies are prohibited from discharging materials or otherwise polluting wetlands without a specific permit to do so. Under the bill that Walker has put forward, companies within the new Economics and Information Technology Manufacturing Zone will be allowed to discharge material into non-federal wetlands if it relates to the construction or operation of a manufacturing facility. Very interesting. Oh, hey, man, if it's a non-federal wetland, because obviously, you know, federal land versus state land, like, it's Wisconsin's land, so I'm just going to let you go ahead and pollute it. If you're in this Economics and Information Technology Manufacturing Zone, we'll just let you pollute the local areas, the local wetlands. Wonderful. Now, another section of the bill outlines how existing Wisconsin law requires companies to obtain a permit to disturb or transform nearby waterways. So basically, hey man, if you're gonna do something that's gonna change the waterway, we'd like to know about it. Now, according to the official analysis of the bill by analysts in the Republican-controlled legislature, the new legislation will allow Walker's administration to waive those permitting requirements. Quote, if they relate to the construction, access, or operation of a new manufacturing facility in the zone where Foxconn is planning to build its new facility. Interesting. Now, a separate section of the bill also exempts new energy utilities built inside the Foxconn development zone from facing regulatory oversight by the state's Public Service Commission. Those provisions also exempt regulation of the building and relocation of high-voltage transmission lines, according to state legislative analysis. So this is chock full of deregulation and saying, hey, you know what? These laws that are on the books, we're just going to let you waive them. That's interesting. So now they're giving this Chinese company billions of dollars and saying, come over here and trash our waterways. It's fine. And any company related to you, whether it be a power, a utility company that's in that same zone, well, they're also free from these requirements and regulations. Wonderful. Now, some of you might be saying, well, hey, what's the problem? We've got too many rules and regulations anyway. Look, man, they're bringing in these jobs. And if we had those regulations, they wouldn't bring in those jobs. In fact, you know what? Too much regulation. We're overregulated. It is strangling businesses. It's killing jobs. Why do you hate jobs? Look, that's what every Republican is going to probably be saying. Hey, man, we don't need these rules. The free market will decide. Stop punishing businesses with overregulation. Well, let me show you what happens when you do that, when you get rid of those regulations. In 2013, Foxconn drew scrutiny into China for dumping polluted water from its manufacturing facility into a nearby river. According to Chinese environmental activists, they described the water as having a black-green color and a strong chemical smell. So, yeah, just go ahead and dump your manufacturing waste into the river, and the river's going to be fine. Who cares if it's black-green and smells like chemicals? Chemicals are fine. Quit being anti-science, libbies. Foxconn defended itself by saying it was complying with all local laws within the industrial park where it's operated, which I'm sure that same industrial park just happened to have a lot of waivers for pollution in order to encourage business. Hey, man, we're just following the rules. Look, we followed all the rules. Look, Republicans, they say the same thing, right? Now, in reality, though, when Republicans get into power, like they have in Wisconsin, they deregulate the industry. Now, let me give you an example. They deregulate industry like fracking. Now, when that happens, and when your water becomes contaminated to the point where it catches on fire, they'll just say, hey, man, we were just following the rules. I mean, we got into power, we changed the rules, so it could be super friendly to corporations and our corporate friends that give us large bribes in the form of campaign contributions. And, gee, whenever something bad happens, you can just defend yourself by saying, well, we were following the rules and regulations. And look, man, let me give you another example. When the Democrats and Republicans teamed up to deregulate the banks, and the economy crashed, and then they come together and they say, hey, man, don't blame us. All we were doing is following our rules. And in fact, we need less rules in the banks. This is what they do. Look, when people in Wisconsin start getting sick from this company basically ignoring those rules, or, because they're waived, they don't actually have to follow them by law, they're going to say, hey, man, we let this foreign company in. Sure, they poisoned your water, but look at the jobs we created. Look at the wonderful jobs. Look, there's a reason that progressives want rules, okay? It's not to punish companies. It's not to make sure, that these companies fail or whatever. No. It's to make sure that our kids and our friends and our neighbors don't end up drinking water that will kill them. That's all. We can go into the issue of unneeded or excessive regulation. I'm sure we could have a good conversation about that. But that doesn't mean you get rid of every regulation. Doesn't mean you do what Donald Trump wants to do and, for every new regulation, we've got to repeal 2 old ones. Really? Well, when it comes to environmental regulations, let's see, we want to have a regulation that stops, power plants from putting out solid waste or liquid waste into the rivers. Well, that means if we want to do that, then we've got to get rid of the ones that protect wetlands or ones that protect something else. That seems ridiculous. You should go through and find the ones that work, and I'm not at all, I don't at all have a problem with going through some of the ones that are ineffective, don't work, or, things like that. But, or ones that are specifically crafted to punish industry. There are some that do that as well. But for the most part, regulation is actually there to help people. And look, let me give you an example. Or actually, you know what? Let me ask you a question instead. You guys understand, do you know what happened before we had regulations? Well, look, forget tap water, right? You could literally light your rivers on fire, and they would burn for days from all the levels of pollution. You also had giant smog clouds in LA. You had acid rain. You had the giant hole in the ozone layer. Regulations, rules, put a stop to those. They actually fix those things. You look at LA now. It's not smoggy. You go to places where there was acid rain. There's no more acid rain there. Okay? That hole in the ozone, fixed. It's back. And look, that's the whole point. And now you can't go and light a river on fire. Now you can still light your tap water on fire because of fracking. Again, super problematic, right? But the whole point is regulations existed to fix those problems. And the problems are fixed. That doesn't mean we need to take the regulation away. Because when you do that, the companies can just go back to doing what they were doing before. And poison the air, water, and land again. We don't want that. And those same businesses, look, when those regulations were put into place, they screamed bloody murder about it. And that's what they do. That's what they always do. Like, no. Look, our sole purpose, and I'm not saying that this is bad, but is to maximize profit. Okay. That's your whole focus. That's fine. That's what we create a business for. Maximize profit. Great. Okay. But that means we have to put in rules in order to make sure that you don't make that profit at the expense of labor, at the expense of the environment. So, and at the expense, of course, the taxpayer as well. Now, if you can't make sure that at the very least you're not poisoning your customers and the environment, if that is too much of a burden for you, then maybe you shouldn't be in business at all. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.